Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's the 20th of May. Thank God it's Friday. It's Friday, the 20th of May, 2022. My name is Kerry Holzman. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And today, I'm hoping to get a FedEx delivery of a broken computer during today's broadcast. Well, I was hopeful it would have arrived before the broadcast started, but it may not even arrive today. So in the meantime, I've got another repair I want to show you. It's a repair I warned you that was coming. Ever since I saw my first x570 motherboard from AMD, I shook my head and I said, this motherboard is a terrible design, and AMD has really failed all AMD customers by initiating this design. This design it harkens back to 1999, maybe 2003, when there were fans on chipsets on motherboards. And what would happen is those fans over time would die. Earlier, if a computer belonged to a smoker, they always die, always. And you can never find them. Now, finding parts today in 2022 is easier than it was in, let's say, the 90s or in the early 2000s. However, still not easy, because there is no industry standard for this chipset fan. It's not something AMD released. AMD doesn't make the motherboards. So anybody who bought one of these x570s because they're an AMD fanboy or whatever their reasoning was, has just bought themselves a little ticking time bomb, because it's just a matter of time before that fan fails. And if you leave that fan broken, then you'll likely end up with an overheating situation on your chipset. And by the way, would never happen on the Intel consumer platform. Intel hasn't designed a chipset that required a fan, unless it's like an X99 or X299. But for the consumer side of things, no, this is a problem you would never have, because you'd never have a fan on the chipset. Intel used to 20 years ago, not anymore. I don't know why AMD did this, and it upsets me because I already saw this coming. I said, you know, I'm gonna be getting these boards back. You just watch. And then we're going to figure out how we're going to find the fan. So I went looking for the fans, and I found one on eBay, and I don't even know if this is the right fan. I'm guessing. I don't know if this cable's going to be long enough on this fan. How much do you think a fan like this should cost? You know, regular case fan is what, $5? Unless it's got RGB, then they can go to about $28, $30. This fan right here was $20 for this little super tiny $5 fan. $20. It took almost 4 weeks for it to arrive from China, and I cannot send it back because it'll cost me $70 to mail it back to China. So whether or not this fan works, it's a $20 gamble. And again, if this customer picked an Intel system, a high-end Intel system equivalent to this, they would never deal with this problem ever in the entire history of the computer. But every AMD person who's ever bought an x570 will eventually have to do this. And here's the thing, I can't just take that cover off. That cover is secured with screws behind the motherboard. That means the whole motherboard has to come out, but the motherboard's connected to a liquid cooler. So I don't know why you folks do this to yourselves. And no matter how much I warn people, they do it anyway. So this is how I make a living. I should stop complaining. But this is actually Marvin Jameson's old motherboard that I had such a hard time finding a case to fit. If you recall, we found this case and it fit in there just fine. And thankfully, I never got to any cable management. It's the reason why it's been sitting is it's been waiting for this. Thank goodness. You know, imagine if I was just a regular old person like you, and I built this thing, cable managed it, and then a year later the fan goes out. You got to disconnect everything. The entire board has to come out. And then if this is the wrong fan, well, you can put it all back together again and place another order on eBay or wherever you think you can find these fans. They will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So the one that ASUS uses on their chipset may not be the same one MSI, ASRock, or Gigabyte uses. But all the x570s have a chipset fan. The chipset fan is going to fail. Just so you know, it will fail. Keep an eye on it, because this is what you signed up for if that's what you voluntarily selected as your motherboard because you thought AMD was superior. All right, so Let me tell you how I really feel about it. Hey, thank you to Peter Laycock, who contributes $50. Right on, Peter. Peter says, he's got a little message in here. Where did it go? He says, good evening, Kerry, everyone in the chat from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh is 53 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 12 degrees Celsius. What I wouldn't give for 53 degrees Fahrenheit. We are at, what are we at today in Phoenix? We're only at 92 yet, but I think it's going to go to 104 today. So it's 1 o'clock. Peak of the heat is usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock. So we're going to keep getting up in temperature until about 4:30 or 5. And then after that, it should start moving the other way. So I would gladly trade you for 53 degrees. What I wouldn't give for that. But hey, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for your continued support. And I see we've got a few new members that have joined us. The Cool 2T has become a supporter. Thank you for that. And also, Dwayne Phillip has become a supporter. Thanks, guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. And $10 has come in from Roystar Man. Hey, thank you, Roystar Man. He says he's paying his late fee. And a couple of was an Amazon gift card that came in. And that came in from somebody named, well, I see Luke Greeniant just contributed $25 via PayPal, and a contribution from John Jack Wilson, who will not be joining us today because he's got other appointments. But we're thinking of you, Jack, and thank you so much for your support as always. And then there was an Amazon gift card that had just come in before I went live, which I am trying to find. I have lost it. I've got all these little folders and everything, and there it is, Bradley Pagliano. So Bradley, thank you so much for your generosity and supporting the channel. You know, it's the people like you guys that are making these videos possible. And normally I would just sit here in my office alone cursing, but now I get to do it in front of a camera. The people at AMD, I put the fans on the chipset. It's like 20 years ago they stopped doing this, and I don't know why they would bring this back. This is not anything anybody ever liked. It's like going on eBay and finding a Sony Walkman for $400. Why would anybody pay $400 for a piece of crap Sony Walkman? I don't know what's going on with the... Anyway, so now I get to do that in front of a camera. Chris Mole contributes 10 pounds. He says, Kerry, you're one of the reasons why I have a fan-free X570S. Thanks. There you go. Oystein contributes 150 Norwegian kroner. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much, Oystein, joining us in the chat from Norway. Paul Garrett contributes 5 Australian dollars. He says, hey, Kerry, that was a nice review yesterday. Thank you, Paul. Look at that. Oystein is in Norway. Paul is in Australia. Where are you guys watching from? Throw that in the chat room. We see how many people around the world are watching us. We've only got about 266 people watching, but I expect that will double here before too long. And yeah, there's Luke Greenia saying, loving the content. Thanks, Kerry. Hey, right on, Luke. Thank you for your continued support. Frank Jimmy's watching from Florida. Darren Gilholm's in the UK. Mark Baggett's in Massachusetts. Saria's in Western New York. Ken Stout is in, oh, that's something else. Eiko Stoffels is he's from the Netherlands. Arto Rasenin is in Finland. Fred Sunderman is in North Haven, Connecticut. Alhaj Depej is in Slovenia. Jamie McGregor is in Glasgow, Scotland. Gainsey95 is in Northern Ireland. John Powell is from Vermont. Michael Taylor, also from Scotland. Wow, a lot of people from Scotland. How cool. John Williams is in Madison, Wisconsin. Patrick Rousseau's in Syracuse, New York. Ken Stout's in Indianapolis, Indiana. Matt Zoloff says, you'll see me at PayPal soon. Right on, I appreciate that. Eric joins us from California, and Bradley from Illinois. Ron Barnish from Ohio. And Zenon from Illinois. Jim Maloney from Pennsylvania. And Andy Kane joins us from South Dublin in Ireland. Saladin Bell is in upstate New York, and Alda Rivera joins us from San Juan, Puerto Rico. David DeVillers is in Compton, and Mike Paradin's in Montreal. Jim KJ3N says it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit and muggy in Delaware today. Jonathan Fasani is in the UK. Ian Gooch is in London. 3D Everything is in California. Russell Stewart's in Kansas City. Steve McCure joins us from Clarksville, Arkansas. Tim Too Much is in Winchester, Virginia. Dustin Fuller's in Algonac, Michigan. Dan Nilsson joins us from Sweden, and Eddie Sawyer's from Tennessee. Terry Trina is from Medford, Oregon. Ian Gooch, I think I just said that, from London. And the Greek is in Newport Beach, California, with Dwayne Phillip joining us from England, and Malcolm Maxwell in Canada. Dennis Rohr says he's in southeast Michigan, where it's 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not much better. Frankie McAvoy joins us from somewhere, southern somewhere. And Ray Sudbury joins us from England. All right, I think I shouted everybody out. Tony Vento's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Robert Peterson is in Eagan, Minnesota. Alan Lindas joins us from Casa Grande, Arizona. Frankie McAvoy is in Waterford, Ireland. There it is. Now I see it. Matthew Burden is in Taunton, Massachusetts. Jan Giddings is in Cambridge in the UK. Roy Starman joins us from New Mexico. Ken Stout Live is in Indiana. Carlos Hernandez is in Rochester, New York. Mark Leibowitz in Chicago, Illinois. Jason Wheeler in Missouri. William Dawson's in Cocoa, Florida. Chris Moles in Lincolnshire, UK. Bat Power joins us from Lewiston, Maine. David Herzog says hello from Milford, Ohio. Will Eddie Casanova says hello from Philadelphia. And Captain Blinsky says hello from a humid southwest Pennsylvania. And Bradley Pagliaro says aloha from Hawaii. David McGurran is in Hartlepool in the UK. John Peck is in Hertz in the UK. Dragon Time Lord is in Rhode Island. Irving T joins us from Marseille in France. Vern Mahoney joins us from Kansas. So we have viewers from pretty much everywhere. The Greek contributes $10 and says, Friday is my day to chill with CH. Right on. Well, I'm glad you're here to chill with me. Gert von Oswegen is from Boksburg in South Africa. Right on. James Steinbitter says, I want to thank everyone in the community for my new TP-Link AC1900 router. It's working beautifully. We gave away 12 of those TP-Link routers, so almost everybody who asked for one got one, and thanks you guys for participating in the giveaway. That's Jamie Rico joins us from Washington, and Dr. Bill is in Rhode Island. Okay, so anyway, I have to take this motherboard out and see if I got the right fan, and if I don't, I got to put it all right back. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and just take the board out and leave everything hooked up, and you shouldn't work on it that way. But this doesn't belong to anybody. We've already taken care of Marvin, so he doesn't want this old board back, and we'll do something with it, but I can't stand the sound of the fan. It drives me crazy, and until that fan is fixed, I can't really move any more forward with this build, whether it's cable management or even getting it ready to either sell or possibly give away. It has to be in a 100% working condition. I haven't even put a power supply back in this case yet, so that's just how excited I am about moving forward without this fan working. And again, if this was any other motherboard other than an x570, this would never be a situation I would have to encounter or deal with. It would never be something that would slow down a process by upwards of 2 to 3 months waiting for the part. If it's the wrong part, I order again. I wait another 3 or 4 weeks, ordering from eBay, unless you guys know another source for these fans. Otherwise, I suppose I could try and create an RMA for the motherboard from ASUS, but I don't want to send the whole board back just because I need a fan. That's going to cost as much as the fan just to pay for the shipping back to ASUS. So that's all the logic involved to how we got to where we are and why we're not moving forward until we've reached this particular milestone. Once that milestone is reached, then it becomes a normal computer build after that. But until we have achieved a successful fan replacement of a fan that shouldn't even be on there to begin with, for a design that should have been redesigned so that it did not require a fan, anybody who owns this motherboard will deal with this. I promise you, you will deal with this. So give it enough time. So be prepared. So let me see. Let me take the board out. I'm going to lay the board flat here. I know that's not the most exciting thing for you guys to see. However, because everything is connected, I don't want to damage anything and then end up delaying the repair even more than it's been delayed. The reason I mount the motherboard into the case is I was in the process of, it's about the third or fourth case we've tried putting this motherboard and cooler in. And once I found a case that it'll fit in, I wanted to mount the board with all the screws so I wouldn't lose those screws. And I didn't want the motherboard to be out loose where it could fall or have something be dropped on it. So leaving the motherboard in the case is the safest place to put it, even if it's waiting on a repair. Having boards just laying out, it's a recipe for accidents. Okay, so now I've got the board here, and once again, I apologize, you're not going to get a very good camera view on this, but I can't really move the board anywhere further than this because it's connected to the liquid cooler, and I don't want to take the liquid cooler off. So this, we've got a couple of screws back here. I see 1, 2, 3. 2 of them have white circles around them. I don't know what these are. So I'm going to take out these little weird screws with the white circles. There's 1. There's 2. Okay. Yeah, and now this cover that I couldn't, get off because without taking the board out, that's what's holding this cover on for that chipset fan. So now I have to flip the board back over the other way so I can take a look at this chipset fan, which is going to be almost impossible to show you now. Let me grab the wireless camera. Let's see if I can show it to you that way. Bear with me. I got to turn everything on for that because that's normally powered off due to the fact that it runs off batteries. Obviously, it's wireless, and so the batteries will drain within a few hours. So I always leave it off until I need it, and then it does take a minute to initialize once we get it fired up here. Kenny McLean contributes $10. Hey, Kenny, thank you for that. All right, I think that'll work for us. And let me step back over here. And back over to OBS. Over to camera input. what is this? This is camera 3. There it is. Okay, so this is the little cover that was on here. 2 screws held that on. And then this is the fan every one of you with an x570 motherboard, no matter who makes it, this is the fan. It's interesting. It sounds fine, but it was definitely making noise. And you'll see the fan connectors right there. And so the fan I purchased, I'm hoping is the right fan if I just set this fan on top. Oops. I think I've got the right fan. The cable is very, very short. There's not really a whole lot of markings on this fan. This is what the back of it looks like. If it'll focus. Maybe I have to hold it further away. All right. So yeah, this old school fan, there's a screw here, and a screw there. And then, like I say, the power cable runs underneath the metal of this heatsink, and I'm hoping I can do this without taking this metal heatsink off. I'm hoping that the fan will lift up and this cable will slide out from under, and then we can slide the new cable in, place the new fan on top, and secure the screws. Not a difficult job to do, just a difficult and expensive part to find. Each motherboard may use a different fan depending on the manufacturer. And then we have to put the plastic cover back on, secure it in the back, and then mount the motherboard back, and then we can do our cable management. So it's kind of a big deal. It's not a quick repair. And when customers, they call you for a problem and their computer's making a noise and it's this fan, you are likely going to have to take the computer back to the shop or order a part and tell the customer you'll be back, and then when you're back, plan to be there about 2 to 3 hours on average to do this job. And then you're going to book that customer for whatever time 2 to 3 hours of your time is worth, not to mention the initial visit and the price of the part. And you're likely going to have a pretty pissed off customer because that's easily a $300 bill minimum on what is a $200 motherboard. So just be prepared for that if you're in the business or you're a hobbyist looking to do that yourself. And with that, I can go back over to camera 1. Okay. I was kind of curious why my font size in OBS got smaller. For some reason, I'll have to adjust that later. But let me just go ahead and put this back for now in case we need it later. I'll go ahead and shut it off to save the batteries. And we'll just set that over here, back on its little stand. I don't want to lose these 2 little screws that hold that little escutcheon on. That's what I'm going to call it. And, all right, let me get my glasses. Jan Giddings has joined us as a supporter. Thank you, Jan. All right. Is the screwdriver going to work? No. This JIS driver, which is great for tiny screws like M.2, it's not going to work for us. So I'm going to go over to my iFixit toolkit here. Let's see if we... Oh, here we go. This is an iFixit Marlin screwdriver set, which I've never had an opportunity to use before, so I'm going to cut the tape on it now. I love the iFixit tools. The whole family of tools are all very well made. They're sort of the Sears Craftsman level of tools that they make. For people who get that reference, they're very well made. You can buy cheaper tools, absolutely. But if you plan on using them often, likely you'll be replacing cheaper tools, whereas the iFixit drivers, you'll probably have your whole life. All right, that's my theory. You can definitely feel the difference. If you've been using cheap tools and you start using good tools, you can feel the weight of the tools themselves and also the comfort and realize why they cost more. I don't know what order these were in, but what I need to do is find a smaller driver. I think that one's going to be too small. I'm going to go right in the middle. The one on the end is a flat blade, so that's not going to help me. Let's see if I have any luck with this. Like a glove. Perfect. You can see the top of the blade, sorry, the top of the driver here spins, so I'm able to just do this with one hand. And because the screws are so shallow, I'll put it right in there. You wouldn't want to use an electric driver on these. Yeah, you can see this screwdriver is magnetized. It's my first opportunity using these little precision drivers from iFixit, and not surprisingly, they're amazing. Wish I could get iFixit to sponsor me, but I'm too small for them. Wah, wah. All right. Now, can I get the fan out? Oh, well, the fan just came off. I don't think that's supposed to happen. Let me set that down. I think it appears, unfortunately, that this metal heatsink has to come off. The wire that's running underneath the metal heatsink is so tight, I don't seem to have much choice here but to remove the metal heatsink, which I was hoping I wouldn't have to do. However, again, not rocket science. Let me go ahead and unplug the fan, first of all, and let me just see if that changes its attitude. Oh, well, sort of, kinda. The problem is the cable is dragging across the top of the board, and all the components on the top of the board are surface mounted. So if you pulled on it too hard, it's quite likely that you will yank or pull off one of the small transistors on the board, and you wouldn't even notice it. They're so tiny, it probably look like a broken little plastic clip or something, and that would be your transistor. So if we take a look at what's holding this in, let me grab the wireless cam again to give you a view of what I'm seeing, since you can't really see it from there. And there's really no way for anybody to film this because there's no room for two of us to get in there. So, you know, even if I had a camera person here, that really wouldn't benefit you in this scenario. This is just one of those things that, you know, I would have to step aside in order to let the camera person film. And if the camera person doesn't know what to point the camera at, it makes my job very difficult. So I might as well just do the filming myself in this particular kind of repair in this scenario. So let's go back over to camera 3. And right there is initializing. There we go. Okay, so these holes here where the fan screws were at, these little tiny holes. These big holes here, there's one right here, and there's one right here. That's what holds the plastic cover on, those two holes. And if we look, we've got this really weird round thing here. That's what something screws into from the other side. And we have another one of those that the fan was covering up right here. So if we flip this board over, we should see a screw here and a screw here. And if we take those out, this whole heatsink should come right off. But we have to come at it from the other side of the board. So you can see what an involved process this is. Most of you with your technochondria are probably going to feel obligated to replace the thermal compound. If you have the time to do that, have at it. I'm not going to waste my time. Any thermal compound that's on there is more than enough, and clean thermal compound won't make more than a difference of about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, so I find it a complete waste of time. Now, if these fins are blocked or have debris, blowing those out would be much more beneficial to your heat transfer and cooling than anything you do with the thermal compound beneath this. But it's your system and it's your decision. I wouldn't waste my time. Okay, so let's go back now to camera 1 so you know what I'm about to do. You're on the same page with me here. Once again, we'll turn this back off and save our batteries in case we need to bring it out again. So I'm going to just set it aside, put it right back over here where it won't fall down. That would be an expensive, very expensive fall if that fell. All right, so yeah, let me see if those fan screws are back here, or heatsink screws. Where did I say they should be? Should be one right there. Oh, there's nothing there. Okay. What is holding this on? It looks like, if I had to guess, there's one dark screw, a flat-headed screw. It's different from all the others back here. The other two I pulled out were little round ones. This is a flathead screw. And it looks like maybe it's just that one screw that's holding it in. So I'm going to take that one screw off. Oh, something just fell. I'm going to guess it's the heatsink. Yep, it was. Okay, so here's our heatsink. This is not using any thermal compound. This has a thermal pad on the bottom of it. So any sort of concern about thermal compound now is redundant and unnecessary. Just leave it alone. It's designed by the manufacturer to provide exactly what it needs and nothing more and nothing less. And wasting your time, quote unquote, improving it is just an emotional need that you're filling, not a technical one. So we're going to leave that alone. That sits in this cover like, what did I hear? That sits in this cover like this. Oh, I left those two little tiny screws in here. Yeah, I got to have those. Or were there three? Those were three, right? Those were the fan screws. 1, 2, I forgot I put those in there. I was just trying to show you what that looked like from both sides without the fan between them, but I forgot I had the 3 little fan screws in there. And I definitely need those 3 fan screws, and now I got to find what happened to that. What happened to my third one? Yikes. It's around here somewhere. It's super, super tiny, and you want to make sure you don't do what I just did. I put them over there to ensure that I wouldn't lose them because this is white and it stands out. And then when I set that up, I forgot they were there, and I heard something hit the counter. And that's when I realized the error of my way. However, we can go ahead and put the fan on now. I'll find that screw in a minute. So this fan is going to go on. That's the broken one. This is our new one. And this is going down towards the motherboard. We want the fins. Try to figure out how I can show you this. It's hard enough to do the work, right? But it's a whole nother thing. Oh, there's my third one. It's a whole nother thing when you're trying to hold it for the camera. So this piece is going to go on like this, and this means the fan has to go on like this. We want the cable's very, very short on the fan, and it's important you have the fan oriented correctly so you can feed that cable underneath and then use those 3 super tiny screws to secure that back on. Once that's secured back on, then this whole piece can go back over to the motherboard, and then one screw I just removed will hold that back in, and then the 2 screws on the cover hold that back in, and then the whole board can go back in. And then we could test fire it and make sure it's not making any weird grinding sounds like it was before. And that's the process. So for now, let's go ahead and get those 3 screws put back in. You see I'm using 3 different screwdrivers for this job. 1 to remove the motherboard mounting screws, 1 to remove the heatsink screws, and the escutcheon screws, and then this super tiny one for these really super tiny fan screws, which again, if you drop them, good luck finding them. That's all I can tell you. And where are you going to find extras? I have no idea. I certainly have never seen a screw like this in any desktop computer I've ever worked on. So I need 3 and I have 3. If I needed a 4th because I dropped one, I don't know. It'd be time to go search in the internet and postponing this customer's repair, all because of a dropped screw. So be very, very careful. We're just going to start all 3 of the screws. We don't want to tighten them down yet because we want to make sure we can move the fan base around to get it aligned properly. Once all 3 screws have been started, we can go back around and just snug them up. They don't have to be real tight. Just take them till the screws won't turn anymore. Just make sure that screw is not moving forward anymore. And that's it. Don't put any more pressure on them. We should be done with that driver until another project comes along. So we'll get that out of the way. And let's see. This will go back onto the board exactly as it came off. These things I thought were screws. There's a little, I'll bring this up and show you what this looks like close up. I thought a screw goes into this piece here, but that's actually just a little, maybe the screw does go in there. No, the screw does not go in here, but it does go here. So you see right there, that one that was behind the fan, but usually a screw goes in here. So maybe I'm missing it from somewhere, but to put this whole piece back on, it appears only a screw goes in, the center one. I'm not quite sure if maybe this is the other part of the plastic, but they're 2 different screws. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Well, I'll have to take another look at it when I put it in. And you'll see the way that I've got the cable running underneath in that direction, because the cable's very, very short, and in order for that cable to reach the connector for it to plug in, the way you line this up is you make sure that little post I showed you where the screws go in, there's little holes that those line up with in the motherboard. So you can't put this in wrong, and that's what's going to seat it in the correct position. So if I bring the board back up, I can see where the heatsink post is coming through. And I just dropped my microphone. Okay, there they are. I see them both. I don't know why only 1 screw came out. There should have been 2 there. That is really weird. Very weird. All right. Let's get one of these started. Grab that one and put it right back where it was, which is in the middle here. This corner hasn't lined up correctly. There it is. Now it's in. There should be another screw like that. There should have been 2 holding that in. But it's not there. I don't know what to tell you. Let me go ahead and put this little fan connector back on. I gotta set the board down so I don't damage anything, because I have to put some pressure down on this connector, and I've got to make sure the connector is going in with the right orientation. It's super tiny. It's one of those micro connectors. I might even need to get some pliers, some needle nose pliers to help hold it, because my fingers are getting in the way, and I'm not even a big guy, so if you've got like sausage fingers, I don't know how you're supposed to do this. I suppose if I would have plugged this in first, that would have made this part easier, but it would have made putting the heatsink on more difficult. So I don't know. Pick your poison. That's crazy. I wonder if that connector is different. It looks the same. Ah, okay, I just wasn't lining it up good. All right, so that is on. Then this escutcheon can go back on. Those cables, the extra cables for the power going to the fan, are getting right up underneath the escutcheon and keeping it from sitting flat. So I'm going to try and hold those up with my fingers in the hopes that I can then sit this properly. It doesn't want to sit properly. It is definitely being held up by that. So that has to somehow sit flat. Not quite sure how that's supposed to happen. We might be close enough for government work here. You can understand why that cable's so short, because even that little bit of extra is interfering with the escutcheon fitting properly. Interesting. Well, apparently it doesn't sit all the way flush, because part of it goes up over some capacitors, and I'm trying to make it sit flush, and it's clearly, there are areas where it does sit flush, but the whole thing doesn't sit flush, which is really confusing to me. But that certainly explains why I'm struggling with it. So let me just bring up the board one more time. I don't know if I can do that without moving this cover. That would be great. Now these screws had two little white circles on the circuit board where they go, so that's how I remember where to put them back. We'll get the one started, and then we'll get the other one started. Again, using the JIS magnetized screwdriver. Always, always, always use magnetized drivers on computers. It looks like, I see, right there's the other one. I know we're missing a screw though. That heatsink is supposed to have two screws. And for some reason, one of them is missing, and it's really bugging me. And I don't know if I have one of those screws. They're a little bit more common. I want to go look over by some parts here for where I originally had this motherboard. And just want to see if there's a screw here that I might have missed. Seems pretty doubtful, but if I had it, if it was a part of the board that was removed, then it should still be here. And otherwise, I might have to look through some spare screws, see if I've got something that'll work. Not seeing anything. Nothing. Nothing. It has to be somewhere. I don't know how that would have happened. They're definitely missing a screw. I know for a fact. So here's our old fan. Now, yes, you can take these apart and you can clean them rather than order a new fan. However, I found that usually when people clean these, they get another couple months and then it happens again. They clean it again, a couple months, clean it again. If you just buy a new one, you'll go for a much longer period of time on average. And labor costs money in my line of work. And every time you'd have to go back to oil that fan, you would have to charge for it, or you'd have to cover it under warranty, so it would basically be working for free. You'll have to make that decision yourself. Should be able to secure the board back in. I guess I'm going to leave that screw out, unless I've got it in here. Because I have to take the board out to put that screw in. It's a bit unusual, that screw. It's It's not like a normal computer screw. It's a screw that I suppose would be normal in the way of holding in heat sinks on the back of motherboards. But let me just see something here. A couple of contributions have come in. James Steinbreaker sent $50. He said, here's a contribution for helping with my great router. I think I have to help donate back into the community. That's right on. Awesome. As I mentioned, James received one of the giveaway routers, so thank you for that. And Peter Laycock with a very generous Amazon gift card. Thank you, Peter. $50 comes from Raj D. Right on. Well, thank you, Raj. $20 sent to PayPal through PayPal by Gary Tatum. Thank you to Gary Tatum. And Mats Olaf Rickardson contributed $20. Thank you to Mats Olaf as always. And Nicholas Poverman with $25. He goes, this is for your YouTube channel from Nick Poverman. Thank you, Nick. And thank you to Peter Laycock and Raj D. Thank you to Gary Tatum and to James Steinbreaker. You guys rock. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm looking to see if I have a picture of the back of this board somewhere on this phone. Let's see. Unfortunately, I don't think I've got one. No, I don't. Sometimes, I'll take a picture of stuff with the phone just for remembering, just in case I need to know where something had gone. But it certainly seems clear to me that there is a screw missing from the back of that heatsink, and it would seem pretty important, I would think, to have that heatsink sit flush in order to efficiently move heat off of the chip. Now, I've screwed that one screw that it has, which is in the middle, which is exerting equal force all the way around it. I've screwed that down fairly tight, so I don't think it's going to negatively impact the system, but I would just feel better, my OCD would feel better if I had what appears to be a missing screw. So I'm going to just look around for that or look around for a replacement. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and finish putting the board in and hook a power supply up, make sure that this fan works without any grinding sounds. And then when I find a screw, I'll take the board back out and put it in. All this kind of stuff, imagine if this was happening live at a customer's location and you just had to deal with this on the fly. There's really not a lot of prep you can do to prepare yourself for this, because and again, unless you're working in a company where they have 60 or 70 of these motherboards, you could just go to the back, take what you need from a donor board, that's fine. But if you're a field service technician, you're working on different things every day. Could be a laptop, could be a desktop, could be a mini PC, micro PC, full-size tower, server, NAS, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the variety of hardware that's out there is a real challenge to stay on top of. Now, thankfully, we do have Google and YouTube to help. But when you're billing the customer for your time, if they see that you don't know what you're doing and you're Googling stuff, they will likely not look kindly upon that. It gives them the impression you don't know what you were doing, and they hired somebody who did know what they were doing, with the logic being, hey buddy, I could have Googled that myself. The reason I hired you is you're supposed to know this. So if you're going to do that, I would suggest you find a hiding spot. Go to the restroom or something. Don't let the customer see you do that. Okay, we got to put 9 of these screws back in. Okay, now that's our new fan on. And let me just throw a power supply in here. And we'll fire this bad boy up and make sure everything works. Once again, I'm going to lower this back down so I can plug these cables in. This is our big 24-pin motherboard power connector that goes on. Okay, and then we have an 8-pin CPU power connector that all motherboards have and must be put on. That's always in the upper right corner of the motherboard. Can't see anything. Oh, so much better. Perfect. All right, so we'll bring this back up now so you can see what happens when I turn it on. Back up. I suppose this is probably going to need a video card too because it's an AMD chip. It's another benefit you get for overpaying for your AMD chip is you also have to pay even more for a graphics card, which AMD will charge you too much for as well, in my opinion. So enjoy your AMD, folks. I don't know why people do this. It really does feel like it's more of a toy. Businesses would absolutely strangle me. They'd have my head if I did this to a company. All right, let's see here. I don't really care about that fan right now. That's not important. Just want to get the cable out of my way. Stay. Throw a power switch on here. We'll throw a power switch, and I'm going to have to throw a graphics card in here to turn this on, so a couple of these have to come out. Okay, well, I'll do the power switch first. My little customized power switch, reset switch, power LED, hard drive LED, all into one connector. Makes my life so much easier. Like so. Video card. I just need something cheap. What do I have I can throw in there? Hey, this will work. Here's a really old graphics card, which is great for testing purposes. Somebody gave this to me. I can't remember who it was. Might have been Marvin. I don't remember. It's old, but it doesn't require any external power. It'll pull what it needs off of the PCIe slot. So I just need to pull 2 of these. No, that's a thin graphics card. I just need to pull 1 of those. Which one? Let's see. I think it's going to be the second one. Yeah, it's the second one. Okay. Come over here. Go to the second one. Oh, I got to remove these too. That's got to come out, and that's got to come out. Now that's got to lift up. I hate cases that are designed like this. I think this is really stupid. Those screws should be inside of the case, not outside of the case. Just tells you they made the case too shallow. And I'm sure it saved them some money in manufacturing. There's really no other logical reason I can come up with why a case manufacturer would do this other than they're cutting corners for price savings, cost savings. I don't need to put that screw back in for right now because we're just testing, but I do need to put an HDMI cable into it. And I need a keyboard and mouse to plug in. Keyboard and mouse I have over here. And of course I'm going to need some power. So make sure the keyboard and mouse are turned on. I'll grab the wireless dongle. We can plug that in literally anywhere. I generally keep the keyboard and mouse up towards the top of the board. That's just kind of traditional. And power, make sure the switch is in the off position. Grab the power cable, plug it in here, flip the switch on. I think we're good to go. The RGB lights up inside, if you can see that. Paul Cleaver with a £2 contribution says, hey, Carrie and chat, hope you're doing all okay. Right on, we hope you're doing good too. Thanks for supporting the channel. Can you see the RGB happening? Like there's RGB here, there's RGB back behind this escutcheon we just put on. And if I hit the power button, that fan is spinning silently now. Ha ha! Woo! It only took what? How long was that job? Started this video an hour ago. It was an hour job with all the space to work on. And let's see if it actually works though, right? Maybe that'll be the deal killer. Let's go over to the HDMI input and see if we're going to get any sort of post from this motherboard or if I broke it by mishandling it. Ooh, what do you think is going to happen? Well, there's our post. That little green section, again, that's the capture card doing that. It's some translation issue with the HDMI signal. Yeah, and there we have it. So of course it's going to need an operating system. It needs a power supply. It needs a lot. I do want to try and find that missing screw to the heatsink though. I know one is missing. I know that for a fact. So now I need to look around here, or maybe even look at some old motherboards that I could steal one from. It's like a little black flat screw with a little washer on it, and it's just not normally used in any other way on a computer build. Normally, as a system builder, you would never handle a screw like that. That's something the motherboard manufacturer does in assembly process of the board. So yeah, I'll look around and see if I've got a donor board I can steal from. So I'm going to turn this system off. For that matter, we can just hit the back of the power supply. That'll shut it down, but it's perfectly silent the way it's supposed to be. And I did order the right fan. I can't really post a link to it because it's an eBay seller. And I can't really recommend you guys going to eBay to get parts. There's, like I say, almost impossible to get returns. And I think $20 for this fan was too much. These should be under $10 all day. If you know another source for these, please let us know in the chat or leave it in the comments section below the video, because I can anticipate during the next 2 or 3 years, you'll probably be seeing me install at least a half dozen of those. Nicholas Menard contributes 10 Canadian dollars and says, it looks like at least some of the complaints about AMD you have will be resolved with the upcoming desktop CPUs and motherboards. Maybe there's still hope that they'll catch on to Intel. Agreed. Absolutely. I'm not anti-AMD. I'm just anti-working harder than I need to. I'm anti-customers being put out for things that, in my opinion, are obsolete designs that should not have been sold to consumers. I saw this coming the minute they released it. And, you know, who am I? I'm a moron, and I saw that coming. So either they did it knowingly with intention and didn't care, or they're more ignorant than I am, which I don't think they are. Let's hope they learn from the lesson. If enough people are in an uproar about it, let them know that's not acceptable. It seems like they should have it within their own moral compass to do the right thing. They shouldn't need an outrage to do the right thing. But AMD needs to continue to evolve, and let's hope that they evolve in the right direction. This was a step backwards, in my opinion. Marvin Jamison says, remember Lyle Industries left screws loose and missing. Well, this is true, Marvin, they did, but that was primarily on the screws they were supposed to put in, right? That was like the fan on the radiator was missing 2 screws, the motherboard screws were loose. Anything that they would have turned, these heatsink screws would have come from the factory, you know, from the motherboard when it came from the factory, would have already had them secured. They would have had no reason to touch them or take them out, and it doesn't appear the folks at Light Computers did anything less than the absolute minimum they had to. For them to take screws out from the back of the board that didn't need to come out would have been more work, so I sincerely doubt they had anything to do with that. Although it's possible, but I don't think so. Barry Klein says, I like that AMD exists. It gives Intel competition. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely on board with that, 100%. This isn't really, I mean, really, who do we point the blame at here, right? When I say AMD, you have to understand that the motherboard is not made by AMD. The chipset is not made by AMD, but AMD approves it. The only thing made by AMD in this whole computer is the chip itself. But it's an AMD-based system, and it has problems only an AMD-based system would have. So when I say I don't like the AMD for this reason, I'm referring to the whole AMD connected world, not just the CPU. There's nothing wrong with the CPU other than it's got pins on the bottom like it's 1995. But you know, AMD is going to figure out and get on board with the same way. You know, they're going to catch up to Intel. There's a reason why Intel moved away from pins on the bottom of their CPUs. Nothing frustrates me more than trying to pull a heatsink off of an AMD CPU and it rips the CPU from the socket. Oh gosh, like I didn't have enough of that in the AMD Athlon days, and AMD still hasn't evolved from that point. I know they will. We have to give them time. But competition is very, very good. I want to see AMD do well. Absolutely. I'm not an AMD hater. I just hate bad design. And I hate people that are blind and refuse to see that bad design. They're voluntarily blind to it so that they can remain loyal to the underdog. You know, Americans, we love success, but we hate people who succeed. It's really weird. It's like when Bill Gates was up against IBM, everybody was rooting for Bill Gates. And when Bill Gates beat IBM, everybody hated him. It's like you root for the underdog, but if the underdog actually wins, then you hate the underdog. This is like a weird American cultural thing that's really weird. Google, everybody loved Google when it first came out. And I have to say, this has affected me personally. I've worked at companies where they lived for years with a terrible technician that left jobs undone and inconsistent. Just, you didn't know what was working and what wasn't working, and it changed. And they said, please, please come work for us and please help us. Please, please, we're begging you. We've been putting up with this guy. We don't know where else to go, so we've had no choice but to tolerate him, and he's a jerk, and he doesn't communicate well, and he doesn't finish anything. So I start working for them, and I start fixing everything. And they're like, oh, you're the best, you know, you're amazing, we love you so much. And then a year goes by, and they're like, hey, I got this thing, I need you to fix it. I'm like, okay, I can get there in a couple days. No, I need it fixed now. I'm like, well, you don't have a need it fixed now contract. So I'm on the other side of town, I have other customers to handle, and this is not a mission critical situation where business is down. Your contract covers emergencies. It doesn't cover changes or deletions. It doesn't cover any of that. And they're like, so I should find somebody else to do it? I said, you know, when I started here a year ago, you had nothing but good things to say about me. What happened? And the customer says to me, it's your fault. You set higher expectations. If you didn't do that, we wouldn't expect so much. So you've got no one to blame but yourself. I said, well, I mean, if you need somebody there all the time at a moment's notice, maybe you should find somebody that you can hire full-time, except you don't have enough work for a full-time IT person. They'd sit around twiddling their thumbs. So If you can find somebody that does what you do and does what I do, then they could work full time doing accounting, and then when you have a need and you're impatient and you want it fixed immediately, you just go to the next cubicle over and tell that person, hey, go fix the server or whatever, and then you'd have what you wanted, right? But you're paying me a very small amount of money every month to maintain things, which means things that are broken, not upgrades, not changes, not moving stuff around the office. That's not included. Okay, so you want me to tell the owner then that you want us to look for somebody else? Okay, that's not what I said, but sure. And so they did. The person went to the boss and said, Carrie said we should seek somebody else for repairs. And I was fine with it because it wasn't worth it for me anymore. But that's the way Americans are. We love the underdog. Unless the underdog succeeds, then you're a piece of junk and you're a demon. You're an absolute demon if you succeed. We love success, but we hate people who succeed. It's just weird. I hope you're not a part of that agenda. That's just sick. Alan Linda's contributes $7.77. Carrie says, I was going to buy you another Gatorade, but you still have a full one. Buy yourself another cold one on me. Hey, thank you, Alan. Thank you for the support. You and Tom Jackson with that $7.77. Lucky number 7. Lance says AMD is going away from that stupid pin on the CPU design. Well, I have no doubt. They don't really have a choice. If they want to keep up with Intel, they're going to have to. Again, it's not to hammer on AMD, but you can't sit there and say AMD has no blemishes and then point out Intel's blemishes. You know, Intel's not perfect either. But of the two, Intel is far more reliable in the sense that I don't have to deal with this kind of nonsense. I don't have to worry about flashing a motherboard to make an Intel chip work. I just had that the other day. I still have an AMD 1500X laying around just for the purpose of flashing older AMD boards to be compatible with newer AMD chips. Never had to do that on an AMD system, on an Intel system, unless it was an X99 or X299 board. But you expect that on those higher end workstations that they're divas, and I don't recommend those. I will say very harsh things about the X99 and X299 Intel systems because I don't like them. I find them to be very finicky, fickle, and they're just not worth it. They're way too much money. And yet I can hammer on Intel all day and nobody goes, oh, don't go talk about Intel. No, because they're not the underdog. Silly people. Silly people saying silly things. All right, let's see what else I've missed. Susan Harris stops in and says hello. Hi, Susan. Bradley wants to know if anybody in chat has a Dell Optiplex 3080. I'm having some issues with mine and thought I would check here before contacting Dell. What's the problem you're having with it, Bradley? Retro is asking about a giveaway I did last week. Everything in the giveaway is gone. You've waited too long. I'm sorry. You got to be on top of it, man. When we do these giveaways, I can't sit around and wait for people to eventually click on my videos days later and then think that I still have other stuff laying around. It's just not how things work. Everything happens here quickly. I advise you to turn on your subscriptions, and when you see a video posted with the words giveaway, you click on that ASAP. The longer you wait, the more you delay, the less likely that somebody else hasn't already claimed it. So it's really a first come, first serve world here. There'll be other giveaways in the future though, so stay tuned and we'll see what we have. Les Stevenson jumps in and says hello. Bradley says it's not accepting the latest graphics driver or BIOS update. The installs say completed, but the version is still the old one. It actually happens with the graphics update on multiple computers. How are you updating the graphics card? If you're downloading the driver directly from NVIDIA, that won't work. Are you using the Dell Update utility in your start menu? Yates Network says, if you're doing any more merch, I'm looking for some mouse pads and anti-static work pads for my workbench. Over at shop.kerryholzman.com, there should be some mouse pads for sale. I don't have any anti-static work pads. I don't make those. I don't use them because it's just stupid. I can't imagine why anybody would need an anti-static pad unless you're doing component level work. If you're handling circuit boards, the circuit board and all the components on the board are grounded. And if you're handling the parts by their edges, as I demonstrate here, even if there were a static shock, it wouldn't hurt anything because you're holding the edges of the board. So properly handling the components, and if the components are already mounted to a circuit board, static rather really doesn't have any impact. It's all just old, obsolete information that's carried over from the 1970s. And I would challenge anybody to prove me wrong. You know, take a circuit board, any circuit board that's populated with parts, rub your feet on the carpet and touch it wherever you want. You're not going to hurt it. But if you handled it properly, it wouldn't matter even if there was a static shock because you wouldn't be touching any components. But what I'm saying is all those components are in a grounded circuit. So this is a weird thing to worry about. But if you are actually desoldering the individual components, you absolutely want to be grounded for that because you're removing them from the ground they're in on the circuit board. James Carter says, I chose a B450 motherboard over an x570 because of that chipset fan. The B450, he says, does everything I need it to do. Yeah, it's making an informed decision rather than an emotional one. And I see Elko there is helping Bradley with the Dell issue. Thank you for that. Will a 3070 GPU go with this? With this build here? I'm sure if somebody wants to pay for it, that's exactly whatever they want to pay for, they can have. Joshua says you only took one screw off. I know, but there has to be a second one somewhere. So I'm looking, or I was looking back where I had the motherboard sitting while it was waiting for a case, just to see if there was a screw missing somewhere. I'm sure there is. I'm absolutely sure there is. You know, I had to take the heatsink off in order to see the back of the fan, so I knew what to Google search for. And then I put it all back together again so I wouldn't lose any of the parts until I was waiting for the fan to come in. But I can't tell what this fan is. I had to disassemble it, and I'm afraid when I disassembled it, I might have not put one of the screws back in. I'm pretty darn sure I took 4 screws out of the back, 2 for the escutcheon and 2 for the heatsink. But I can't remember. I've worked on so many systems. This was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. But I had to get to this back of this fan to look at it, and that required me to disassemble it. And I think when I put it back together, I missed one of the screws. It's the only thing I can think of. Or it was never there, and I'm only just now noticing that. I have no idea. But again, I'm sure I've got another motherboard I can use for a donor. Elko says, I can't wait for the launch of the AM5 and Ryzen 7000 series. Wow, did we just go back in time? Oh, I can't wait for the AM4 coming out and the 6000 series. Then they're going to say, I can't wait for the AM6 coming out and the 8000 series. And then they're going to say, I can't wait for the AM7 to come out. Man, you have no idea how repetitive this business gets. I don't know why people keep getting it. Every time I offer my dog a cookie, it's the same cookie, but the dog is super excited, like, oh boy, I can't wait to try this cookie. It's the same cookie. I mean, but in that case, it's a dog. You know, I'm like, it was a dog. But hey, you know what? Maybe I'm just jealous. I just don't get excited about the same old thing all over again. It's in my lifetime, that's happened probably 40 times. And after a while, it's just like watching a wheel go around. Gee, I wonder when it's going to come around again. Oh boy, I can't wait for it to go around again. Oh boy, there it goes. Oh, here it comes. Oh, there it goes. And it's just around and around and around and around. Show me something new. Show me something exciting. Hey, look, we made it 10% faster and changed the socket. How exciting. Is that bitter? Or I'm just tired, right? I'm just like bored. I'm so bored. Show me something exciting. That's nothing to be excited about. Just taking something and making it 10% faster. Show me it 60% faster, I'll start getting excited. Show me a quantum computing chip. Give me something different. Look, it's 10% faster than it was before. Again? Yay! Maybe it's like birthdays, you know? And when you're young, you're like, hey, I'm having a birthday. And you get older and you're like, oh, it's another birthday. It's like every year with these things. James Steinbreaker says, I just ordered a 4-pack of the black coasters from your shop as I need some. Hey, they're nice. They're just little cardboard coasters. So it's kind of like what you get at a bar or something when they throw it up on the counter there. But I like them. I ended up getting a little nicer coaster for myself, but I can't ship these. They're way too fragile. But I kind of like the cardboard ones better anyway, because you can't break them. And the cardboard soaks in any condensation off the bottle. Whereas on this, you know, it just creates a puddle, which isn't really useful. Oystein wants to know if there will be a Windows 11 optimizer. Yeah, I would guess in about 2 or 3 years when Windows 11 gains a wider adoption status. For right now, I don't see any reason why anybody would want Windows 11. I don't know what Windows 11 does that Windows 10 doesn't do, and I've still been waiting. Every time I ask that question, nobody can answer it. So eventually what's happening though, are brand new computers are going to be sold with Windows 11 on them, whether the customer likes it or not. And when that starts, well, it's already started, but as that starts to become the norm, over time it will overtake the number of Windows 10 installations in use. And then I will probably adjust and create an optimizer specifically for Windows 11 and probably retire the Windows 10 optimizer, since Windows 10 will be at its end of life by that time or nearing it. So there's probably only going to be one optimizer for whatever is the most used operating system in the world. Right now that's Windows 10. It's more so used than any other operating system. And when Windows 11 surpasses that, that's when you can expect to see a Windows 11 optimizer. And then probably the Windows 10 optimizer will go away because it'll be pointless to have if the majority of people aren't using Windows 10. There's no sense offering it. XRod666 contributes $10, says happy Friday. Hey, happy Friday to you, my friend. Thank you for the contribution and for supporting the channel. Cerise said, I guess I wasted money when I got the anti-static strap and grounding plug. I think if you search YouTube enough about anti-static myths, misconceptions, there's plenty of videos that prove it if you want a better understanding. You could also go to your community college and take a basic electronics course. It's one of the earliest things they teach you about is proper grounding and the difference between an earth ground and an anti-static ground. At least that was back when I went to school. An anti-static ground is like a floating ground, whereas an earth ground, whenever you see somebody earth grounding to an anti-static purpose, they're putting their lives in danger. So I think you're better off not wearing it, and if you just handle the components correctly, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But there's no harm in wearing it, but for the love of all that's holy, don't plug it into an earth ground. Whatever you do, that is not what helps with static discharge. In fact, if you watch my own videos on static discharge, I go through some and actually prove it on my channel. So, but if you want to wear one because it makes you feel better, again, that's more of an emotional need. But who am I to tell you what, you know, was a acceptable emotional need? I mean, if you like to have a little comfy blanket with you, if that brings you some sort of release of anxiety, you know, have it. So, Shop Persian Rugs contributes $5. It's an interesting name. Thank you for the contribution. Andy Kane says, Carrie, good to see you. Right on, Andy. Good to see you too. The Greek says, Carrie, I have an X99 ASUS Deluxe that I use in my garage. It took a BIOS and every other update and has been 99% on for 11 years, never an issue. So what's weird to me is I literally said X299 and X99 systems are fickle, they're finicky, and they're divas. They can be very difficult. And yet what somebody heard was all X299 and all X99 systems will definitely always have a problem. I didn't say that. So it's like somebody's challenging me. They're saying, well, I didn't have that problem. I didn't say everybody has that problem. I work at a scale, right? So if you had 100 of those X99 systems and you were able to tell me, I've got 100 of these X99s and they've never had a problem, then I would find what you say to be quite interesting. But your own individual experience owning one isn't a very good sample size, and it's ridiculous for you to submit that information into the chat room because you're not really making any point. I work at a very large scale and I see hundreds of computers. I don't just make stuff up. Why would I say something about my experience that wasn't my experience because I have a thing against Intel's X99. It's just, I woke up one day and decided I didn't like it anymore. So I don't understand what's going through your mind when I said that you feel the urge and the impulse to correct me. I wasn't wrong. And I'm glad you've had a good experience. If everybody had a bad experience 100%, the product would have been recalled and there would have been a lot of news articles about it. Unfortunately, I work in the industry, and the systems that come back the most often for needed repairs are X99 and X299 systems per capita, right? There's not that many of them out there compared to consumer-based motherboards. So if we're getting, let's say, 5% of consumer-based systems in for repairs, we're getting 25% of those X99 and X, it's about 5 times higher. And these are estimates based on the number of systems I see. So what I'm telling you is I wouldn't recommend an X99 or X299 because per capita, I see a percentage, much higher percentage of those coming in for repairs. That still means the vast majority of them are fine. And you just basically said, well, I'm part of the vast majority. Well, I didn't ask, so good for you. It's just weird. I feel like what you heard me say isn't what I said. And it's just frustrating because Communication is what this YouTube channel is all about. You know, it's about conveying ideas and concepts, and in this case, sharing 30 years of experience. And if your experience differs from mine, that's normal. But if you're working at a scale I'm working at and your experience differs from mine, that would also be normal. So I don't understand why you would question my experience of hundreds of computers and say your experience with one is somehow worth noting. I just think it's weird. I don't know what you were hoping to achieve with that comment, but I would appreciate if you wouldn't do that anymore, because it's weird. I don't even know how to respond to it. Like, good for you. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China or anything I just said? It's very strange. All right, just getting back to the chat here, and let's see what I'm missing. James Steinbrecher is, hey, he says he's heading out. Hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your support and your contributions. Enjoy your router, and we'll look forward to seeing you again here in the chat room. Bradley's making a comment about what Microsoft said. Windows 10 20H2 is the official end of life. This is the same version that shipped on Jack's laptop. Bradley, so much of what you said is wrong. I don't even know where to go. Jack's laptop shipped with hold on. Now I stand corrected. 20H2 probably is what Jack's laptop shipped with. So we had to upgrade it to 21H1, which wouldn't exist if Windows was at end of life. And then we upgraded 21H1 to 21H2. See, end of life means there's no more updates. So you can't tell me that the end of life was 3 updates ago. That doesn't make any sense. What you said doesn't make sense. 21H2 is the latest update for Windows 10. Will there be a 22H1? That's the question. Let me type it into Google. Will there be a 22H1 for Windows 10? H1. It's worth noting Microsoft will be releasing a Windows 11 update in February of 22. Well, that's about Windows 11. What about Windows 10? That's 21H2. What about 22H2? Windows 10 22H1 may release in April or May if Microsoft decides to keep its twice annual release tempo. Well, we've obviously passed that. I think what Bradley got confused about is Windows regularly ends support for each version of Windows on a regular basis. So let's say, for example, you've got Windows 10 20H1 or something. So 20H1 support ends in whatever that time frame is. But in that time frame, they will have released 21H1, 21H2. So as soon as you grab 21H1, the clock starts again. And then when you grab 21H2, the clock starts again. So if you haven't updated your Windows 10 and you're still running an older version, it may in fact be end of life for that specific version, but not for Windows 10, just for Windows 10 build, whatever your build is. But as long as you get those free updates, it's not end of life. It's only end of life because you didn't get your updates. So I think that's where you were confused. Ryan says he's heard that there will be no 22H1, but there will be a 22H2. That makes sense because Microsoft said they weren't going to do the dual annual updates anymore for Windows 10. They were going to do one singular Windows update. Microsoft keeps changing the rules. They said initially that they would come out with a major update well, they come out with a major update twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. And they did that about 4 times, and then people just having a lot of problems. So what Microsoft said is we're going to do one update in April that's major, and then we're going to fix all the bugs with it in the fall. So we're going to do one major update, one minor update. They did that for 1 year. Then they said, okay, we're only going to come out with one update a year now, a big update. So that makes sense that they would wait till the fall and stick to an annual service pack is essentially what it is. You thought Jack's laptop shipped with 21H2. Didn't you watch the video yesterday? Didn't you just watch me install 21H2 and then, in fact, I had to install 21H1. All you got to do is watch yesterday's video. It's not like I could go back and change it. What do you think those updates took so long? Most of yesterday's video was doing updates, and a long part of those updates were those 21H1 and 21H2 updates. That's what took the vast majority of the time. That's why that video was 3 hours long. Martin said he had an issue with Acronis resolved by their friendly and efficient online chat with support. Perfect. Glad you use their support. That's what it's for. Nicholas said 21H1 was just installed yesterday. Well, 21H2 is still waiting for you, my friend. You can watch yesterday's video to see how to force it. Sari wants to know if there's a particular external drive I recommend for backups. No, any drive is fine. Shop Persian Rugs contributes $20 and says, I've been watching your videos for years. And I've learned so much. I enjoy your deep thoughts on many subjects that you discuss. Thanks again for what you do and take care. Well, thank you to Shop Persian Rugs. I appreciate your support of the channel. And I'm glad you see a value in what I do. That means a lot to me, and I appreciate you. Paul Cleaver wants to know if I saw his second super chat. No, let me go back and see if I've missed any others. Ah, there it is. 2 pounds from Paul Cleaver saying this is for a pack of Gatorade. 2 pounds doesn't cover a pack of Gatorade, but it'll get me a bottle. I appreciate that. Thank you. And let's see, I caught that one. Let's see. Nicholas Bernard contributed 10 Canadian dollars and says, it seems people have a lot of time on their hands when they buy slower devices just to save a couple of bucks right now for something they'll have to endure for the rest of the device's life. Yeah, well, that's their choice, you know. Red Pill Matrix, I missed that one. That was $9.99. Thank you, Red Pill Matrix. Barry Russ contributed Barry Russ contributed $7.77. He says, I figured out how to do chat. Thanks and blessings. Hey, Barry, we're glad you figured out how to do chat. We're glad to have you here. Ryan contributes 2 Canadian dollars and said, sorry I missed yesterday's video. Please forgive. Hey, no problem, Ryan. Just, you know, when you have time, go back and watch it. Bradley says, Carrie, sorry if I wasn't clear. I just hope manufacturers will update their images soon. I posted Microsoft's link. Yeah, it's not likely an issue of the manufacturers updating their images. It's likely older inventory. Like I say, that laptop was built in December of 21. So I don't know how often manufacturers update images. But if you don't like what you get, just return it. I mean, if it's unacceptable to you, you vote with your dollars. Your voice is just going to fall on deaf ears. All they hear is money. So, you know, if you see a laptop or a desktop being sold at Best Buy or online that, you know, you get it to your house and it's got some old version of Windows on it, send it back, demand your money back. And with Amazon, if you order from Amazon, that's always super easy if you're getting it direct from Amazon. Usually Dell and HP, if you're buying direct from them, also are pretty liberal with their returns. But the amount of time and effort you're going to spend buying it, boxing it up, and returning it, you probably could have just had the updates installed. So I don't know if that's a fight worth fighting, my friend. I think you should really pick your fights more carefully, because that one isn't worth it. Not to me, anyway. Mark Baggett with $5 contribution said, hope everyone's having a great Friday and keep up the great work, Carrie. Thank you, Mark. I can tell you as a system builder, I can make an entirely customized install image. I can spend 3 days making it and testing it, and I'll use it for 2 days and another big update comes out. And what are you gonna do? You know, I've literally updated a computer with every single driver update and Windows update and BIOS update, and I drop it into the FedEx box and mail it, and the next day 3 more drivers and an update have come out to Windows. Well, it's in shipping. So one way or another, you're getting updates, whether you like it or not. It's only a question of how many, but really, what difference does it make? It's not that big of a deal. Tristan says, Carrie, I'm going to build another system this weekend, an R7 5800X G. So 5800X, that's a GPU, isn't it? No, the 6700 XT is the GPU. It's a Ryzen 7 5800X CPU with an x570 motherboard, because I guess he likes the chipset fan, and the AMD 6700 XT GPU, 32 gigs of RAM with a Pure Rock 2 cooler. It should be nice. Yeah, it should be nice for about a year or two, and then you have to replace some stuff. But, you know, it's a great chip. As far as performance goes, it is a great chip. Video card, I would avoid AMD. I'd go with an NVIDIA graphics card, and I'd go with an Intel chip. And I would avoid the motherboard BIOS update issues with compatibility that you might endure, RAM compatibility that you might endure, and the chipset fan failing in time that you will eventually endure if you keep the system long enough. Probably cost you within $2 or $3 of whatever you're spending to go to the equivalent Intel side. But honestly, since I'm not supporting you and it's not my problem, it's not my reputation, and it's not my responsibility, enjoy your build. You know, buy what's right for you. Nicholas says, I hope Microsoft releases newer images for their Surface devices, since the Windows 10 dates back 2 years ago on a device released last fall. Again, I really don't think the manufacturers think it's that important. And again, they don't really have a whole lot of control of when these updates come out. You know, the side of the manufacturing, creating the laptops and configuring the images, is a different side from the company that's developing the software and the updates. Even though they're both the same company, they're really run like individual companies. You have to spend probably somewhere around $10,000 to $20,000 in employee time, labor, and resources to redo an image. And if the laptop isn't making you much money, or if it's a Surface, it's very hard to justify the cost of updating those images. Just put it off to the customer. If they were to do that, you could expect the price of a Surface laptop to go up to counter the cost of the continual research and development that would need to go into that, which would likely result in a massive drop in sales. Everything is done for a reason. It's not done for you. It's done for the average shopper. So you don't represent the attitude of the average shopper, basically is what I'm getting at. And if you were the marketing voice of Microsoft and you told them to do that, you'd probably lose your job after you cost the company several $1 million of losses because you thought it was the right thing. Unfortunately, the marketplace dictates what the consumers will pay and what the consumers will tolerate. And you have a handful of consumers that are divas, they're snobs, they're elitists, and they want everything done for them. Well, that's fine. I'm sure that if you wanted to, you could buy a Surface laptop from a person like me, and I would update it for you. So it's not as though that option's not available to you. I'm sure there's a lot of local shops that would be happy to sell you whatever it is you want to buy, and they'll do the updates for you and make sure it's all updated, and then you'll just pay them for what they're selling the device for. So, you know, which would you rather have? Would you rather have a cheaper device you update yourself, or would you rather pay more money and have the device already updated for you? Both of those options are available for you. You're suggesting taking the cheaper option away for everybody. Not a good idea. Not good for business. Mark Leonicio with a $5 contribution says, hello and happy Friday, everyone. Matthew Burton joins us. Welcome in, everybody. Nicholas wants to know if my Amazon affiliate link works on Amazon.ca. No, I'm sorry, it only works within the USA only. William wants to know what happened with Mitch. Mitch is fine. I really enjoy having Mitch on the show, but right now, I don't have anything for Mitch to do. I don't know that you know I pay Mitch. Mitch is not here for free. And I have to pay Mitch because my conscience won't allow me to have Mitch work for me for free while I profit from it. Unfortunately, I don't have any work for Mitch to do, so he hasn't been here. He hasn't done anything wrong. I just don't have anything for him to do. That's all. He'll be back. Martin says, Carrie, regards to Acronis. Thank you so much for introducing us to Acronis. It's enabled me to upgrade several machines to SSDs with no failures, and I thank them for supporting your channel. Thank you, Martin. I'm glad you see the benefit of Acronis. I've used it in my business for a decade and a half, and I have it here on my desk. One of these flash drives. Yeah, I got my Acronis flash drive. It's a tool I use that often that it stays right up here at close reach. It's not tucked away in a drawer somewhere. Yeah, the downside is YouTube revenues have really been falling despite the channel continuing to grow. And then the amount that I was paying Mitch started becoming more than I was earning. It was a weird situation. See, like, well, what do I do? Do I lower, because YouTube's paying me less, does that mean now I pay Mitch less? And I stuck with it thinking it'll get better, and I just kept taking this financial loss. Show after show after show, I was paying Mitch more than I was making. And then I said, I'm digging a hole deeper and deeper and deeper. So I'm like, this can't continue. And he didn't do anything wrong. Just YouTube did that to me. So I'm still trying to stay afloat. And I thought that the YouTube revenue would grow. I thought as the channel grew, the revenue would grow. But it hasn't worked that way. The more the channel has grown, it's like the revenue's going down. So, yeah. And besides, I don't really have anything for Mitch to do right now. I'm just trying to push out all these builds that Mitch and I had started. Whatever happened to every machine you saw Mitch and I build? Do you even think about that? All those machines are still here. I'm the one who has to do all the cable management. I am the one who's got to get a buyer and get it boxed up and get it shipped out. And so there's about 20, 30 machines here that Mitch and I have built that are just sitting here depreciating in value. And so I have to do all that work and get those out because it's gotten too bad. I've let it go too long. So my focus now is on trying to rebuild the revenue that I spent that didn't pay off for me and to get this material out of here before it depreciates any worse than it already has. I have tried in vain to find somebody to help me do the work. And, Mitch has offered to do the work, but it's not his thing. He doesn't dream of fixing computers, right? It's not his thing. And I've had a very difficult time finding a qualified candidate that lives close by that I would feel comfortable with having work on the machines. So I have to do it all myself. And until all of these machines are out, or at least 75% of them, I'm not taking on any new builds. There'll be no more new builds. If you see a build on this channel, it's from some parts that are still left over that I'm trying to get rid of. And I have been on this mission a couple of months now, and it's just, it's like a giant ocean wave of work. It's really overwhelming to me, and all I do is chip away at it. It's so big, it's so momentous. All I can do is, first of all, I only have myself to blame for being in the situation. It's all money. It's all representing money. It doesn't do me any good until it's sold. And I can't sell it until it's ready, and I can't make it ready unless I do it myself. So that's where I am at, and it's going to be a while. I think it'll be around the fall before I'll be caught up, and that's if I really hustle. Nicholas said, Carrie, I buy a lot on Amazon. You would benefit from that if there was a link. I would really like to further support your wonderful channel that way. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just not that easy. Setting up an Amazon account through another country, the taxes involved and the paperwork is a nightmare. Now, Amazon has introduced something called One Link, and it's supposed to be able to generate a single link that works in different countries. I just haven't had time to look at it. I don't think you guys really understand what my day is like. I really don't think you understand it. My phone is turned off when I do these live broadcasts. The preparation that I need to do this live broadcast was started last night, and that was after I did a 3-hour show, and that was after I delivered 2 computers and ran 2 other errands that enabled me to start the show at 7 o'clock at night. That ran till 10 o'clock at night, only for me to set up the next video for today. And I just don't know where you think I have all this time to do all this administrative stuff. And so, yes, I understand your perspective is you'd be making some commission on it, but Amazon commissions, let me put it this way. If you're buying over $50,000 of material a month from Amazon, then I would likely make about $1,000 from that. So if that's the case, please let me know. But if your idea of spending a lot of money is $1,000, that's like $10 to me. It's not much. So the idea is that I'm putting my time and effort into the things that are paying me back the most for that time. And I've got a number of projects that aren't going to pay me back enough for my time, but I committed to finishing them. So it's really a difficult time balance, but I appreciate your thinking of me, but it's just not that easy. If I had somebody working for me, that'd be a different story. Solo wants to know if a college intern would help you. Maybe somewhere out there is. I've never met them. Everybody I meet doesn't want to work, or they don't want to do this kind of work, or they only want to do it for a certain period of time, and then after they do it for like 2 weeks, they're like, I've had enough of this. I've never had anybody that consistently wants to do the work, and I'm just wasting my time training them. So it just doesn't work out, unfortunately. People just don't want to work. Hillard Bishop said, man, I wish I had the time to travel out there and help you get all those machines caught up. Yeah, you and me both. I mean, I know there's qualified people out there that can hit the ground running, but they're nowhere close to me, and they're pretty rare to find. So I just, look, I did this to myself. It's my commitment. I just have to see it through. In the meantime, it is what it is. That's all. There's a reason why you're seeing the videos you're seeing. It's not random. John Williams said, at some point in time, did you have someone do cable management? I did. They don't want to do it anymore. So that's over. That's what I'm talking about. People don't want to work. So, people want me to accommodate their schedule. Like, man, I can't accommodate your schedule. I'm the boss. I'm the one doing the hiring. People want me to go out and get them. I'm not going to go out and get you. If you want a job and an opportunity to make money, I have work here. If I trust you to do the work, you can say thank you. And when do I show up? And then when you show up, be here on time. And I treat people very well. I pay them well. Usually take people out to dinner at the end of the day just as a bonus, and it's still not enough. People are like, well, this is what my schedule is. Like, I don't care what your schedule is. I'm not interested in your schedule. I'm the one who needs the work. You follow my schedule. If you're not available on certain days, we can work around that. But if you're going to tell me that you don't know what your schedule is until tomorrow, for tomorrow, that's already too late. I'm moving very, very quickly, and my day changes rapidly, and my day is the one that changes at the last minute, right? So if I've committed to having somebody come over to do work, I'm locked here. I can't leave them here. And I need to supervise what they're doing to make sure they're doing the machines I need them to do in the right way that they're doing them. And I need to set up the next machine for them and answer any questions they have. I cannot leave them here. So I will be stuck here for that entire amount that I'm paying them to be here. And if a customer calls and has an emergency, I'm going to have to say your day's ended early. Now, that's never happened. Anytime customers call, I can usually go in the other room, remote access in, and address the problem. But being a one-person employed, self-employed business, for the most part, it's just easier for me to do everything on my own. It's just going to take longer. And I should have never had me and Mitch build all those computers, because now I'm paying for it in a labor-intensive, overwhelming, anxiety-ridden money pit that sits here depreciating in value until I can find the time to get to it. So that's my lesson to learn. And I hope you learn from it too. Nicholas said, would PayPal be a better option if I want most of the money I give to reach you, or an Amazon gift card? Does it work if I'm in Canada for an Amazon gift card? You can send an Amazon gift card, but you can't send it to me from Amazon.ca, or I have to order from Amazon.ca. So I think what you have to do, and I'm not exactly sure how this works, but I think you go to Amazon.com and you create an account there, and then you can send me gift cards from Amazon.com. I don't know if there's a way to send me an Amazon.com gift card from an Amazon.ca. You'd have to ask Amazon customer service that. Amazon takes no percentage at all. So if you were asking which way do I get most of the money, Amazon gift card. PayPal will take 3%, and there may be a currency conversion fee as well. So Amazon gift card would be the way to go. Now, when you pay with Super Chat, we're not paying the percentage for processing and the percentage for currency conversion. YouTube's just universally taking 30% no matter what. Channel Zero's taken off. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, Channel Zero. Michael Dean joins us. I've been hoping if I stall long enough, the doorbell will ring and FedEx will be here with that computer that needs repair. It's supposed to be here within the next 45 minutes, according to the schedule. What's interesting is, FedEx will say, your package should be there from this time to that time. Never, ever does the package show up on the earlier side. If it says your package should be there between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., it never shows up at 10 a.m. Never. I don't even know why they even say that. Just go ahead and skip the first 2 hours. It's likely going to be at least noon. And then sometimes it goes past, it'll say, let's say 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Now it's 3:45 and there's still no package and the tracking isn't updated. And you keep looking at the tracking number all day and it never changes. At 10 o'clock at night, it says it should be there by 3:45 p.m. 7 hours ago. And then you check it the next day, and then it's like there's an updated tracking information again. Should be there today between this time and this time. Maybe I'll see it today. So I found FedEx to be extremely unreliable with their time estimate. Raj said to send me an Amazon gift card. He has an Amazon UK account. So Raj is in the UK. He says, all I do is I use my UK login details to log into Amazon US. Well, there you go. So apparently you don't have to create a new account. You can go to Amazon.com and log in with your Amazon.co.uk login information. And I suppose that same would be true for Canada. So thank you for telling me that, Raj. I had no idea how people were doing it. Patrick says, a watched pot never boils, Carrie. Yeah, that's clear, especially if the pot's made by FedEx. Joe Dusta says, what about the YouTube Premium subscription? YouTube Premium subscription doesn't really do much for me. If you join to be a member of the channel, YouTube will take 30% of that. But a YouTube Premium subscription doesn't really benefit me. That's just so you don't have to watch ads. I still get paid revenue pretty much the same as if you were watching ads. So it's a wash for a content creator. Carrie, could Mitch help with some repairs instead to help you out? Unfortunately, Mitch doesn't know how to repair. So, well, he would be willing. He's certainly game, I don't have time. I don't have time to explain all of this. And he's not like driven to doing repairs, right? It's not like he's going to say, well, let me give this a go and I'll let you know if I need any help. It's not in his makeup, you know what I mean? So if I guided him every step of the way, but that's slower than doing it myself, and that would be more of a burden than a help. But he has certainly offered, he's a super great guy, but that's just not going to work. I don't need somebody to slow me down. I need somebody to speed me up. So I need somebody that can hit the ground running. Somebody I can just give a little bit of information to, like where this goes or where that goes, as opposed to, what is this? I don't even know what this is, right? And we just have to find something Mitch and I can do together another time when I'm not so busy. But obviously, I've already considered that. I think that's kind of silly for you to mention, because wouldn't you think I've already considered that? Matt Power says, Carrie, I'm using a laptop. Should I unplug it once in a while and run the battery down and recharge it? Yes, you should. I do that every day with my laptop. I charge it overnight, and it's plugged into a surge protector. And when I wake up, first of all, if the battery's charged, the light on the front of my Dell XPS goes off. I hit the surge protector so I don't have that vampire power consumption happening, trickling away while I sleep. So I hit the switch on the surge protector, shut everything down. When I wake up in the morning, I start turning the laptop on, I start checking my email, doing all my daily administrative routines. And it's usually about 5-6 hours. I'll see the battery meter's gone down really low, and I just reach down and flip the switch on the power switch, and it starts charging the battery back up. I do that every single day, which is, I'm sure, way overkill. If I did that once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's probably all I would need. But it's just a habit I'm in. If Mitch was aspiring to be a computer repair technician, that would be a different story. It's not his thing. It's not something he wants to do. And I don't want anybody to do something they don't want to do. It's not that important to me. Jason Urbank says, Carrie, I can help doing repairs or troubleshooting. I don't need help with repairs or troubleshooting. I don't think you guys really understand. All those machines that you've watched Mitch and I build every Friday for the last year, where are those machines? They're here. Most of them. Not all 52. There's 52 weeks in a year, right? They need cable management. They need the most boring and tedious work done to them. There's nothing exciting about it. Nothing needs repaired. Nothing needs diagnosing. They just need the boring and routine. Dozens and dozens of nylon zip ties and RGB cables all have to be aligned and sorted and cleaned up, tied down, the panels put on, a little date sticker printed out for the date, the specs of the system written down on an index card. What processor does it have? What RAM does it have? What NVMe does it have? What motherboard? What power supply? Take a piece of tape, stick it to the box, and then it can be offered to be sold. When someone says, hey, what is that? I can look at the index card and say, oh, that's a core of this, and that much RAM, and that much NVMe, and it was built on this day. Not real exciting stuff, guys. Repairs and diagnostics, I do those myself. I don't need any help with repairs. I don't have any repairs here. I did a few minutes ago, and I just took care of it. When FedEx drops off a computer, I'll have one to repair. When Madi sends his laptop in, I think that'll be next week, I'll have something to repair. I'm not buried in repairs. I am buried in incomplete builds. And nobody wants to do the work. And I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you, you need to understand the amount of pressure I'm under and how much stuff I have going on at one given time. Any given day, I'm stretched so thin and I'm being pulled in so many different directions. I don't think you could keep up with me. I don't think the vast majority would be able to. Or you do it one day and you would sleep for 10 hours after that. You'd say, I don't know, that's not for me. Kerry's a madman, right? I mean, I don't even know how Elon Musk runs SpaceX, the Boring Company, Tesla. He's talking about buying Twitter. That guy must not sleep. I have no idea how what he's doing is humanly possible. And I think what I'm doing is not enough. So you can imagine if you're working for me, I'm going to work you. Because to me, if you or if you're not working as hard as I am, and I'm not working as hard as Elon is, well, I'm going to keep trying to work as hard as Elon is, even if it kills me. So I'm not an easy person to work for, but you're paid well and rewarded well. Marty contributes $20. Hey, thank you, Marty. And John Studley with £2 says, hey, Kerry, I'm enjoying your channel. Keep up the great work. Thank you, John. Winston Liu with a $10 Canadian contribution says, I'm watching you from Vancouver, Canada. Well, hello to Vancouver, Canada. Good to see you, Winston. Michael Dane said, I understand the pressure about repairing computers. Yeah, it's very different from being a hobbyist or an enthusiast. There's no pressure in that. Jason Urbank says, I can do computer builds. So these are already built. Once again, it's all the maintenance of the cable management and the asset recording. Where are you located, Jason? Where in the world are you located? Most of you are not in Arizona. And if you are in Arizona, you're probably more than an hour away from me, which is too far. Joe Justice said, I have 3 computers to maintain and doing repairs. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, multiply that times 100 and you can be welcome to board. A-Take says, Elon Musk isn't a one-man show. He has a great team. That's how he does. Oh, that's true. That's true. He is definitely not a one-man show. That absolutely wouldn't be possible. Kenton says, I understand I'm also a one-man tech. My company, Kcordius Technology. Hey, and if you were located in Texas, I'd be honored to assist you with your cable management. That's cool. I appreciate that, Kenton. Jason's in Glendale. Yeah, you are a good 45 minutes from where I am. So my preference is I'm going to find somebody local. And again, the situation is dealing with traffic and everything the way it is in Phoenix, between the road construction, car accidents, and the maniacs that drive on the roads. I don't want anybody driving that distance on a regular basis to come out here. So I will find somebody either local or just stick to the plan that I'm just going to do it myself. But I appreciate the offer. That's kind of you. But I am way on the other side of town. Old Man 55 says, wiring management is like tying shoestrings all day. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the shoes sure do look a lot nicer when they're all laced up, aren't they? In Irish, saying bye for now is slán-go-fóill. I know sláinte, slán-go-fóill. Am I saying it right? It doesn't sound right. Slán-go-fóill. Sargstead says that case looks like an apartment building. How much is it to move in? Well, if it's Chandler, Arizona, it's the most expensive of any other city in Arizona. Chandler, Arizona leads. I don't know if it's proudly leading the most expensive rent in the entire state. Frankie says that was perfect, really? Slán-go-fóill. Slán-go-fóill. I still feel like the cadence is off, but I'll have to practice that. Thank you. How much is gas? How much is gasoline in Arizona? Gasoline in Arizona is about $4.99 a gallon for unleaded, and premium is around $5 a gallon. It's about $1 more. Costco isn't really selling it much cheaper. I could get it for $4.99 at the corner QT gas station, or I can get it at Costco for 10 cents a gallon less. And on a 17-gallon tank, that saves me $1.70, which is less than half a tank of gas. It's not worth waiting in the line at Costco for that. Don't worry, gas is going to get more expensive. And I'm just hoping that it continues to go up so that traffic will go down. I'm already hearing people complain how they're, like pest control companies used to send their workers, they go to a job on this side of town, your next job would be on the other side of the town. And I'd hear the pest control worker telling me how much they hate it. They spend more time in the car. And I'm like, why doesn't the company, give you a bunch of homes in the same area? I don't know. So anyway, now the companies are financially, instead of spending $7,000 a month on the gas for their employees to drive around doing pest control, they're at $10,000 a month in gas. So now they're being forced to have the drivers work areas that are closer to where they live, and then not have them drive across town like they've been doing, which has been stupid the whole way, this whole time. And it's worse for the environment. It's not financially sound. It's already adding to the overly congested roads. And I think fuel prices need to go up. I think people need to think twice about where they're going, how important it is, and where else they can go on the way so they're not going back and forth making separate trips. It's just overcrowding the freeways, at least here in Arizona. It's creating a ton of accidents every day. And on top of that, it's terrible for the ecology. Our environment is being destroyed by this. So I think gas prices need to keep going up until the amount of cars on the road goes down. And in that way, the people that are actually going somewhere can justify it. Right now, people are joyriding. If you got money to joyride, I don't want to hear about the complaint about the price of gas. It's just stupid. But the price of gas still is the cheapest part of owning a car. It's been that way for a long, long time. If gas prices were to double, if it went to $10 a gallon, if that's what it took to get half of these cars off the road, I can assure you, I would be just fine with it. I don't drive very often, and when I do drive, it's very unpleasant. It's dangerous. It's like you're going to war. Cars are out to hit you. People aren't paying attention. There's obstacles in the road. Things have fallen off the back of trucks. People are driving around it or driving over it, kicking stuff up at your car. It's absolutely going to war. For now, I go to a lot of my clients, most of my traveling I do after 7 o'clock at night to get out of the extreme rush hour traffic and to get out of the extreme heat. So, when you're driving around after, say, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, the roads are pretty wide open, the weather's cooler, it's actually quite pleasurable, except for the road construction. But I'd love to see gas go, just let it keep going up. The only downside, of course, is that all the goods that we buy, groceries and things like that, then the cost of transporting those goods goes up. But it doesn't go up that much. It's being split among however much, 80,000 pounds worth of stuff that truck is carrying. But people have it too easy. They just have it too easy. People are getting in their car with nowhere to go, with nothing else better to do. And it's starting to add up. People are starting to realize how good they've had it. And there's going to be a transition that they're going to have to go through, whether they like it or not. And it's due. You've lived the good life for a little too long, and now it's time to pay the bill for that. That's the way I see it. Ghost Rider said, I have put less than 25 miles on my car in the past month for consultation trips. Yeah, I don't drive that little, but probably in a month, I probably have to fill up the tank twice a month. So about every 2.5 weeks or so, I think I have to put a full tank of gas in the car. But I have to run back to Studio A on a regular basis. That's, half hour, 45 minutes each way. And I've got clients. I have to go service their computers. That's a half hour to 45 minutes in the complete opposite direction. So I try not to do those on the same day. And then just regular grocery shopping, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, haircuts, et cetera, et cetera. I've got to get out to do those things. But I definitely don't drive like I used to. I don't drive anywhere as much as I used to. Nicholas Menard said, "It's done. You should be receiving a little something to show my appreciation in your email." Well, let me see if it's there. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, but we can take a look. I'm still waiting for FedEx. I'm going to give up on FedEx here pretty soon. We'll just have to reschedule that. Greg has sent me a message on Facebook about Rumble. I'm already on Rumble. He's like, "Hey, you should go check out Rumble." Did you even search for my name on Rumble? I'm already there. So thanks for the tip, but I've been on Rumble for over 2 years now. Yeah, there it is. Nicholas Menard says, "Thank you for being you, Kerry. What a truly wonderful community you've built over these 14 years on YouTube. I think your philosophy and morale inspire people to be better in life and to pursue their own dreams as you've obviously pursued yours. It's an honor to be a part of this. Keep up the great work that you do for those who deserve it. For those who deserve it around you, and rock on, my friend. I know it's not that much, but at least it's 30% more than what you would get if I gave it through YouTube. And it's a $10 Amazon gift card. Hey, thank you. It's great. If 10 people gave me a $10 Amazon gift card, that's $100. If 10 people gave me a $100 Amazon gift card, I'm sure you know how math works. I appreciate it. $10 also comes in from Jan Giddings in the UK. He says, "I hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card sent from the UK. $20 in PayPal from Kennard. Said Gatorade or Coke and happy Friday in the Tech Club. Aloha, Ken." Right on, Ken. Thank you. Dustin Fuller sent a $20 Amazon contribution. Said, "Here's a little something for the channel. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Dustin. I forgot it already. Don Dry sends another $25 Amazon gift card. Says, "Today is the highest temperature at Raleigh since 1938. Oh, I know. We were supposed to have a record heat week around the United States this week, and we're only in May." Bob R. sent an Amazon gift card of $25. I told you this stuff adds up. Thank you to Bob R. Thank you to Don Dry. Thank you to Dustin and to Kennard or Ken. Thank you to Jan Giddings and, of course, Nicholas Menard for you guys supporting the channel. You guys rock. I appreciate so much that you guys put your money where your mouth is. If you want to see more content, you're willing to pay for it, then it's my duty to deliver it. Otherwise, I make content just because I want to, but the amount of contributions I get dictates what I owe viewers. I don't owe viewers who pay nothing anything. So, well, it's nice when they have compliments. It's doubly insulting when they have criticisms. But when people support it, it's certainly, I might wake up and say, I'm not in the mood to do a video today. But I have all these people that have contributed, and they've done so because they want me to make a video. So drag your ass up, go out there and make a video for these people. And that's how it changes my attitude as a content creator, right? Doing something because I want to, and then putting up and tolerating jerks, or doing something because I feel as though I owe it to people who appreciate what I do. It completely changes my frame of mind. So I thank you for that. Marty says, "I got $50 worth of Powerball tickets. Wish us luck." All right. Hey, I think the odds of that are like getting hit by lightning, but people have been hit by lightning. So good luck, Marty. I hope you win it. Joe Justice says it cost me $80 to $120 to fill my tank every 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, I certainly believe that. Mats Olof said, Carrie, you missed me, but that's okay. Did I? Let me look back. I'm sorry. Don Pepito contributes 200 Norwegian kroner. Says, hello, Carrie. I agree that we need to drive less and think more about the environment, but I have to admit it's getting expensive now with prices tipping 25 Norwegian krone per liter. Keep up the good work. You know, Norway has one of the highest costs of living of any country in Europe. Norway is not a cheap place. And if Americans are thinking of vacationing there, it'd be cheaper to visit Hawaii than to visit Norway for Americans. But Norway is also a very beautiful country. And I'm telling you all this based on information that I've received online and for people I know. I've never been to Norway, but I would love to go someday when I can afford it. But listening to somebody who lives in one of the most expensive cost of living places in Europe complain about the cost of gas seems a little weird. But it's everybody's, you know, it's not just Norway, it's everybody. So you can imagine if you live in a place that's less economically stable than Norway, how that would be proportionally worse. Sarge Tech with $5 said, you are appreciated, from Broke Biscotti. Thank you, Sarge Tech. And what was I missing from Mats Olof? I don't see any contribution from Mats Olof. There was a PayPal contribution I read about 30 minutes ago. Did you just not hear me say it? I'll say it again. But I didn't miss it. I said thank you. Let's see. Terry Hughes sent an Amazon gift card. He says, Carrie, thank you for all your great information and advice. I have purchased Windows keys for me and my family, and Office keys as well, and I've been an Acronis user for years. But I took advantage of the upgrades, and I've also been a RoboForm user for years, and I took advantage of the yearly discounted extensions. I took your advice, and I purchased the 11900K that you recommended, and I am an Uncle Carrie user too. Like Marvin, I am 75 years old and a veteran, and I'm looking forward to the next 25. Right on, Terry. Well, thank you for your service. Thank you for the $10 Amazon gift card. And more importantly, thank you for your kind and supportive words. Mark Gaines sent a $59.21 PayPal contribution. And where's the one from Mats Olof? It's in here somewhere. Unfortunately, these emails, I have to open each one to see who they're from. It doesn't, oh, here it is. Mats Olof Rickardson contributed $20 and says, smiley face. Yeah. Well, and again, thank you to all of you, and especially Mats Olof. I'm sorry you didn't hear my shout out earlier. Gainsy95 contributes £1. Right on, thank you for that. I guess I'm going to disconnect this power supply. I don't need this up here anymore. Let me unplug some of this stuff, because ultimately this has to come down to make room for John Yasuda's machine. I built the machine for John back about 3 years ago at Studio A and shipped it to him in Los Angeles. Now, John used to be a computer technician himself, and unfortunately suffered an illness and is now in a wheelchair and can't do those things he used to do. So, you know, I really like working for John because he has an appreciation for the level of detail that I have to go through. A lot of people just make light of it. You know, they oversimplify the job. So, you know, John's been there, done that, you know what I mean? He just can't really do it anymore. So it's a pleasure and an honor for me, first of all, to get respect from another technician who appreciates what I do. That's more important to me than, obviously customer trust is critical, but when you get the respect of somebody who's a peer in the field, that's like the ultimate, you know, compliment. So I was really hoping that was going to show up here from FedEx so we could take a look at it today, and so far nothing has shown up. But I'm going to clear the bench and see if I can't manifest that to show up. Maybe it isn't showing up because my bench isn't clear and I'm not ready for it. So let me get ready for it. Let me put this video card back. And I'd like to keep that over here for testing purposes where I can easily find it and grab it. And then I want to put that little PCIe cover back in. Tell us what you think of that design. Oh, I think you know what I think of this design. This case is so good right up until you get to this part of it. Then, not so much. I'll take that out because it's in my way. There it goes. Then I can put this back in. Bad design on that, but everything else about the case I like. The rest of the case is fine. Just that part. Here's our old junky fan, and that will go into a recycle bin or an e-waste bin. And let me go check just to make sure a package hasn't been dropped off. It's supposed to require a signature because it's a very expensive computer. But sometimes, even though when things require signatures, I've seen the FedEx person just leave stuff. Nope, it's not there. I'm sure it's going to require my signature. I'm sure they're not going to leave it. I wonder if the tracking information has changed. Tim Teal just sent me an email with pictures of a B560M gigabyte board using a Core i9 11900K with a Samsung 980 Pro, 1 terabyte. It's got some, looks like 2 sticks of DDR4 memory from Corsair, 16 gigs each for a total of 32 gigs. A Thermaltake Smart Series power supply. Oh, well, it was good up until that point. And he's got a Mugen 5. I think it's all going to be fine. It should be a great system for you. He's also pairing it with a GeForce RTX 3050, which appears also to be from Gigabyte. I would have bought it from EVGA. And he's got a USB 2.0 internal card reader. I wouldn't advise you to use an internal card reader. They are finicky. They can be really flaky. I would have just recommended you buy a USB internal memory card, external memory card reader, and just plug it in when you need it. These internal ones, they work for a while and then they're just junk. Looks like he's got a DVD drive in there, and he's got some other box that's off the screen. I can't see what that is. But the Gigabyte board with the Intel CPU with that cooler, along with that EVGA, with that 980 Pro Samsung NVMe, and even the RTX 3050, even though it's Gigabyte. That's all. I'm on board with that, but I'm not on board with the Thermaltake power supply. It'll probably be fine though. I think that's. Oh, I was going to look for FedEx tracking. FedEx traffic. All right, let's see if there's an update. Scheduled by end of day. All right, so they changed it. It was supposed to be here within the next 15 minutes. Now they're like, well, by the end of the day. So when is the end of the day? Doesn't say. Well, since it may be 4 or 5 hours, or even 6 hours from now, before that package shows up, or it might just be delayed. You know, the tracking information might just say updated for delivery for a Saturday. Really nothing I can do. So I think that's going to wrap up today's video for that reason. I do like to keep these videos between 2 and 3 hours in length, and we're already at I'm looking for the time on this. We're at 2.5 hours, so that puts us right between 2 and 3. And then I'll just I'll do another live video. Let's say I can't do it Saturday, I can't do it Sunday. So John will probably see that on Monday, I think. I have errands to run on Monday, though. I should still have time sometime on Monday to fire it up. And that's without me touching any of these builds. Remember I said I have all these builds to finish? I can't finish them tomorrow. I can't finish them Sunday. I can't even think about doing that on Monday because of all this other work that's come in. And then I think Madi's laptop should show up Monday or Tuesday. So once again, all of this work continues to sit week after week after week after week after week. So I've got plenty to do and plenty of content to make. I just have to make more time. Got to figure out how to make more time. I also have some Amazon review stuff I got to do to my Amazon channel. And I still have some administrative tasks with sponsors. I've got to go back and forth with some meetings. And I have a couple of clients I've got to visit as well over on the other side of town. So somewhere in there I might find some time to eat. But I will put your system, John, I'll put your system up here as soon as humanly possible. But it looks like it'll be, I'm guessing, Monday. So now it doesn't matter when FedEx delivers it, because I'm sure I'll have it by Monday. Mats Olaf says, thank you and good night, Carrie, and everyone out there. See you next time. Right on, thank you. John contributed his John Yasuda has contributed $5. Thanks, John. I'll email you when it arrives. Jason H88 with $10 says, thank you for sharing your knowledge of tech. I'm working on a friend's computer, and when you click the little flash drive icon in the taskbar, all of his internal hard drives are listed to safely remove. If his internal hard drives are connected via SATA, you can probably go in the BIOS, and there's an option for hot swap for each SATA port, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to manually turn that off if you don't want to see that. Okay, well, I think I've worked my way through all the comments. Thanks you guys again for hanging out. This is a great, but a good Friday. I mean, as far as all this went, it was pretty much as expected for changing out that little fan, but just be aware of it. If you're an X570 owner, you might start looking for one of these fans now before you need it, and then you won't have to wait 3 weeks like I did to order one from Japan, from China, off of eBay. And again, if any of you know a source for these fans that's cheaper than $20 per fan, please post it in the chat room, or sorry, there won't be a chat room. Please post it in the comments below the video. I have links to my Amazon shop for everything you see that I use. It's all purchased from Amazon. You can go to the link in the chat. Why do I keep saying the chat? You can go to see the links for everything that I use on the channel in my video notes below this video. And if you want to hit like and subscribe, that'd be great. And even if you don't, that's fine too. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, all my friends in blue and my members there also in green. Thanks for hanging out, and the chat is such a much more pleasant place to be. Yesterday was a stark reminder of why people who are not members or moderators are no longer invited into my chat room. And we just had a much more pleasant stream today compared to yesterday's stream and the aggravation I dealt with. No aggravation today. So thanks, you guys. You know, I'm just sorry I had to do it that way, but it's fixed the problem. I'm gonna let y'all go for now. I would see you very soon. The next time, I should have John Yasuda's computer up here, and I'll save it. I won't do anything to it until I go live, and you can join me on a real-world diagnostic, shot in real time, unscripted. It's just the way I do things. That's gonna be it for me. Until next time, bye for now. You